Hey everyone. Hey, so this is um this is L&O True Crime, um, episode 2. And I know this is like almost a week late and I'm sorry about that. So anyway, the whole episode starts off with well, I wanna also say that this whole episode spans about I think about 6 months. Um a good 6 months I wanna say. At least. Because it goes from like September of 1989 to like March 11th of like 1990. So it spans about a good 6 months, I would say. So anyway, so it starts off with Leslie um, going to see one of her clients who was injured, and so he's in the hospital wing of the prison. So her husband's like he's not all that happy about um her wanting, because when she finds out that he's okay, that her client's okay, she wants to actually see him, and he's not all that happy about it because apparently they're about to adopt, they're in the process of adopting, and so that they have a meeting with one of the adoption people in about 5 hours. And so he's upset because he feels like she is going to end up neglecting, um, she's going to end up neglecting this child, like apparently she has with the one child she already has. So, and she decides to go meet with her client anyway. So it goes then to detectives talking about how Lyle and Eric, um, and how they bought new cars after the murders, and they're talking with Pam, who was one of the, I guess, who was, I think, the assistant district attorney um, to, um, what's his name? I can't even remember his name. What in the hell is his name? I can't remember his name. Um, they say his name several times in this episode. I just can't remember at the moment. Um, Rayner, Rayner, Ira Rayner, and she's, I think, this assistant to Rayner, and so they're talking with her about Lyle and Eric, and um, they're all talking about the cars and the how they say they have an alibi, but their alibi is that they went to go see a movie and they don't have the ticket stubs for that movie and all that stuff. And um, so Linehan is, thinking Lyle is the spearhead of this whole thing, since he seems to be spending most of the money, and he's the one who contacted the guy to get the files erased on the computer. Um, Zoller finds out that he got a call from this guy named Donovan Goudreau, who says he is, or at least was, um, Lyle's best friend, and while in the dorms at Princeton. Um, and he apparently now lives in New York City, so um, Lyle, um, was calling Eric, and Eric's like, well, I don't want to live here anymore because I don't want to be in the same house as where we killed our parents, because he doesn't feel safe and all that, so he decides to bring Eric to where he is. So detectives then make their way to New York, and before we see them actually go to Donovan, or talk with Donovan. Um, on September 14th, at the Princeton Country Club, the boys are playing tennis, and Lyle's talking about moving in together, and Eric going to UCLA, but Eric doesn't want to go to UCLA. He wants to go pro because he's been working towards that all his life, basically. So detectives then go to the restaurant Donovan works at, and we hear um, that after he heard about the murders, he tried to call Lyle, but Lyle had changed his number by that point. So we find out that he met Lyle through Lyle's then girlfriend. Well, maybe it was the same girlfriend that Lyle has now. But anyway, so they met through her, and Lyle let him sleep in his dorm since money was tight and he was sleeping in his truck. They bonded over the dads who were the take the charge types. Um, so Lyle seemed happy that there was 2,000 miles between him and his dad. And Donovan met Lyle's dad the previous Easter, and so Lyle prepped him. Lyle told Donovan that his father had an affair, this is during the prep, because this is where we see a flashback. So Lyle tells Donovan that his father had an affair that really hurt his mother, and that he could kill his father for doing what he did. Detectives then go visit Jose's sister Terry, and they question her about his work standards and if he was the same at home, and she's like, well, he's always had high standards even for himself, so he did the same at work, and he wouldn't coddle the boys, basically. And this is when Lyle walks in. Detectives have Terry go wake up Eric since he's still sleeping, and then they question Eric, or Lyle, then they question Eric. When they question Lyle, about the ticket stubs, he says that he doesn't know where they are unless they are in the car that's missing, basically. He is concerned. He said that he and Eric are concerned that there are things that are not related to his parents' death being released to the press, like how many shots killed his father, and the reports of organized crime that the papers are connecting to his father. But Zolar's like, well, the coroner, I think he implied that the coroner released that information, released about the shots. As far as the organized crime thing goes, he doesn't know anything about that because he and his partner don't release information. So 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 he's like, well, I won't believe anything until I see proof of it. And Zola's like, well, neither do we. Basically, implying that he doesn't really believe anything that Lyle's saying. Then question Eric, and he makes this hypothetical ass question about what would the cops have done if I haven't been in a different state of mind, walked out of the house with a gun from his parents' bedroom, and like if that's if it didn't really happen, why the fuck are you caring about? Okay, this is me just talking here though. Like if you don't really care about what happened, like if this is really something that you would never have done, then why the fuck you care? Like, I mean, clearly the event of your parents being killed has come and gone. So if that didn't actually happen and he had no intention of that happening, why the fuck do you, like, why do you care? Like, why do you care? I don't get it. But whatever. Anyway, so they answer the question, and Line and Eric then asked another question, or yeah, he asked the question, why don't you just talk to our psychiatrist? And Linen's like, well, you have to get permission from you, or you have to give him permission to talk to the cops. Lyle, having been listening in, walks in to interrupt. On the way out, Zola's like, well, make sure you keep that Rolex at your house if you go out anywhere in LA, because there's been these rash of burglaries where this burglar sees this Rolex on someone's wrist and then decides to follow the person home to then steal it. And it's just like weird as hell. So anyway, so Jared Shalev, who defended Eric when he took the fall for Lyle, calls Zola upset that Zola lied about the boys not being suspects, and basically says, don't talk to them unless I'm present, or the lawyer is present. So we find out that there was a call from a call to a guy named Glenn Stevens. He shared the dorm with Lyle. Lyle called him twice a day after the murders. And so they then go on September 18th. They go to Princeton University and talk to Glenn. They tell him that the boys are suspects, but they aren't 100% sure. Lyle apparently wears a wig. I mean, I think that might be significant, because otherwise why bring it up? So I think that, and apparently he started going bald in high school. That's why he wears a wig, and his dad started making him wear one. So apparently someone from the LA Times called Glenn, and Zola's like, well, do whatever you want, or say whatever you want. Linen is concerned, but Zola is like, calm down, it's not, I mean, this could work in our favor. So I guess sometime after that, Glenn talks to or what I mean to say is, I guess a few days have passed, because now Zola's going up to Eric with the newspaper about how with Glenn shooting his mouth off, and in it Glenn repeatedly said Lyle is a suspect. Then cuts to Lyle and Eric talking, and Lyle's like, well, Glenn had told him the reporter twisted his words, and that told the reporter the cops think he's a suspect, not him, saying that. And Eric is concerned why Glenn would say anything in the first place, but Lyle's trying to soothe him and all that. I mean, this entire episode is basically Lyle trying to soothe Eric, and it does not seem to work whatsoever, as you saw. Eric then is seen in church just sitting there, and he's clearly having trouble with keeping everything in. So he calls Ozell while he's sleeping with Judalon. So Ozell calls him back, and then they go talk. And this is on Halloween, when they talk, or at least I think it's Halloween, because it's. I mean, they don't say what day it is after Oh, but they only do it certain times in the episode. So I assume it's Halloween, based off of a little bit later, like a few minutes later. Eric says he tells him that he's been having these dreams where he's being chased and seeing his parents. So he and he's thinking that he's better off dead. Then he tells Ozell that they did it. That's all they say, or that's all he says before. Um, that's all he says before. Um, Lyle gets the call from Ozell. Um, and the reason why I said it was Halloween was because of the fact that he saw him with his girlfriend passing out candy. So, um, when Lyle gets to Ozell's office, it's revealed that Eric told him everything, and Lyle's clearly upset. So, because Eric apparently trusts the doctor more than him. So Eric leaves in a hurry. Lyle tries to go after him, but can't catch up with him. And Ozell tries to talk to Lyle, but Lyle doesn't, and basically, in a roundabout way, threatens him without actually verbally threatening him. Ozell then calls his wife to make sure that she gets out of the house. And after hanging up, he dictates on a recorder the conversation he had with the boys. Outside, Lyle's still very upset and asked if Eric told him, told Ozell something, and he's like, about what? About that? No. And so I'm thinking, like, is it the wig thing? What is it? What the hell did Eric not tell him? Because I'm over here thinking, like, okay, what the fuck did you not tell his ass? Because so the detectives then try to go to the district attorney to get the case, like the I guess charges brought against the boys, but Rayner doesn't think that he has any. They basically don't. He doesn't think that there's enough evidence because they handled the kids with kid gloves, or the boys with kid gloves. That's not me to say. So Lyle and Eric go to talk to Ozell, and Ozell's mentioning how Eric told him their mom was depressed and he wanted to end her life, and in this context, he did. So that's when Lyle cuts off the whole conversation. And basically downstairs, Lyle's like, thinking that Ozell is trying to blackmail them. He then decides to see if Sharlef can, deal with him and all of that stuff. I assume not, because you don't actually see anything pertaining to Lyle talking to Sharlef and the Sharlef dealing with Ozell or anything like that. The detectives then visit Glenn or not Glenn, Craig from last episode, having heard that he mouthed off to a frat party, saying Eric told him he killed his parents and that he will make millions off of the story. He apparently told the same thing to a tennis coach, and he's like, well, no. Eric said that it could have happened that way, and that's not how the conversation went at all. Zola then says, you know what, you're going to wear a wire. Try to get Eric to admit to it. So on November 29th, Craig goes to Gladstone's restaurant for, I guess, lunch with Eric, and tries to get Eric to admit on tape that he killed his parents, but he doesn't budge whatsoever. So basically, that's a dead end. Elzel then goes to his mistress's house, Dudalon's, finds her trying to kill herself because she wants him all to herself. Um, so she basically gets him to allow her to stay in his house with his wife and kids. Like, and I'm just sitting here like, that's not gonna end well. That is not gonna end well at all for him. Uh, because like she's already seeing him, or she was already seeing him because she's a little, she needed psychiatric help. She needed psychiatric help. She needed the help from a therapist already. So she's already not in a good state of mind as it is. So and now added to the fact that she started sleeping with him after she started seeing him as a professional. Um, so now you have the added effect of, you know, now you have the added effect of him fucking with her mind even more because he's sleeping with her. So I knew it wasn't going to end well whatsoever. Um, it was not going to end well at all, in the least bit whatsoever. So, um, Shalef then, is seen getting Lyle and Eric extensive psychological exams, um, by Ozone, and apparently that will stay confidential. We'll see. um, um, Back at Ozo's house, when his family leaves to go see a movie, Doodlon's like, I need $5,000, but he won't give it to her unless um, she leaves by the end of the week. Um, and she's like, well, why do I have to leave by the end of the week when you can have me whenever you want here? And he's like, well, I'll have sex if you're back at your place. So she threatens to tell the cops, excuse me, what Eric confessed to him on Halloween if he kicks her out. And he's like, well, do that and they will kill you because they will know you did it. And she's like, well, she's like, well, they don't know who I am, so they're not going to kill me. And he threatens that if she turns them in, he will tell them that she did it. Because he doesn't want her to mess up their arrangement. So we see Leslie again, I think for like a third time this episode, and she and her husband are having lunch, and she sees the news report about the murders, and she said again that there's no way that, or she basically makes this like another like revelation, I guess you could say, that things just don't add up because they were good athletes and good students, and they didn't just wake up one day to become Charlie Manson. So Marta then goes sees Eric, concerned about the bill for December, for Dr. Ozo, and apparently it's like $7,000 at this point, and I guess it's lower. It's usually like a lot less than that, I guess. And she's like, "We'll just pay it since he's helping." So now, then it cuts to January 18th, 1990. In Rayner's office, and we hear that he lost the McMartin case. So he takes Pam off of the Menendez case to focus on the retrial of the McMartin case. Also then comes home and finds out that not only has Judalon moved the furniture in the house, but she told one of their daughters that he was having an affair with him.
The other day we were
Sorry about that. Had to pause the video for a second. Anyway, so, where was I? Oh yeah. So Judalon told one of his daughters that she was having an affair with him, and that she will take Laurel's place, and that they will get a divorce and all of that. So Ozo throws Judalon out, and in the process, she threatens to go to police. But yet again, he says if he does that, he will be the least of her problems. And I knew right then and there that this was not still was not gonna end well for him. So anyway, so the next scene is Zola gets a call from Judalon's lawyer saying she heard Eric and Lyle's confession. Ozo then goes home to find his place being searched. He doesn't cooperate and figures out that Judalon did this. Like, I don't know in what universe he thought that was gonna go over well. Lyle is then arrested while driving in his car with a couple of his friends and he's arrested on the suspicion of murder. Eric then calls his aunt Marta from from England, I think. Well, either Israel or England or whatever. And he says that Lyle was arrested and he has to surrender, and she will have his flight routed to Miami so that she can be with him. On March 11th, 1990, at the LA International Airport, Eric is arrested. Leslie takes over as Eric's lawyer, with Lyle getting his own, and so she visits Eric and talks with him, and so she promises that he won't get shafted and has him tell her what happened. She then has Lyle brought in and says to them, don't say anything about their case except to their lawyers. Leslie then talks with Marta, and she tells them the story of when one day they were having dinner, or they were having a family meal, and as you know, Jose was giving Lyle coaching him on something, or like giving him a lesson on something. He notices Eric playing with his food and not really eating it all, and so he calls Eric a sissy and a faggot for playing with his food, and all that. And this is, I mean, this is just to prove to Leslie that everything, like, they didn't just turn monstrous right out the gate. So both the DA and Leslie hold press conferences. In Leslie's conference, she says Rayner breached doctor-patient confidentiality in her press conference. Basically saying, I mean, yeah, that's the entire episode. So, I mean, it's still pretty good. I just kind of wish they would, at least give. Well, I guess they did a pretty good job of keeping. Well, the only time they really showed what date it was the Halloween date, because otherwise, I mean, it was kind of hard to follow if the events were a few days later or several days later or what. I mean, the only time I really ever knew that time had actually, like, a chunk of time had actually passed was during the Halloween, like, when they showed Lyle giving out candy to trick-or-treaters, and then Marta going to Eric about the doctor bill, and how he had the bill was so high. And that was the only two times where I knew, without having the little blacked out screen with the date on it and where the scene was taking place at. Those were like the only two times aside from the black screen. So, I mean, I kind of wish they had a little bit more of a what date was when. Like at least, I mean, you don't have to say the exact date, but I would like to know if like it's been like 2 days, like it's been more than a week or more than like 2 weeks since the previous scene or something, because it's kind of like, I mean, it kind of makes things clearer for me. So hopefully they might do that, but I mean, I guess I won't hold it against them too much if they don't do that. But it would make, to me, it'd make it more, like I understand how, like I would understand when things took place more. I mean, I guess maybe they can't really do that since it's been so long since the actual detectives were going working the case and all, but it'd still be nice if they kind of had a bit more clear when things happened. And I mean, if they can't narrow down a specific date, then at least say is like it's now December, or now it's, I don't know, like it's 2 days later or 2 weeks later or something. I don't know that, but that's just me. That's just my little nitpicky thing on the show. But other than that, it seems to be going pretty well, and I figured they would get arrested this episode, so I figured they would get arrested this episode. So I assume now, from now on, it'll just cover the trial, or mostly the trial. I think for at least from now until like episode 9 or 10, they'll cover the trial, and then in episode 9 or 10, they will address the outcome and all that, and where everybody is at the moment, or is during the present day and all that. So that's just what I think will happen, at least as far as future episodes go. I mean, obviously we know that they were convicted, but they're just gonna go through the trial of it all, and I think they might actually even show a little bit of the jurors, as they as they both debate in the jury room, and when they get home and see the jury's struggle of having to deal with such a high profile case, and all that. So that's what I think will happen in the future episodes, because we all know what actually happened. Like, I mean, I at least know that they were convicted. I don't know for sure what if they were actually convicted of like first degree murder or second degree murder or whatever. I don't know if they were convicted of that, but I know they were convicted of a sentence of murder. And so, but tomorrow night is episode 3, so I will definitely get on. I'll definitely try to watch it tomorrow night, and then do the episode Wednesday. That way I don't miss again. That way I don't do episodes a week late. So that's my plan. And I will see you guys Wednesday. for, I'll see you guys Wednesday for, the third episode. Bye.